All right, we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to Kongregate. Hey everyone, welcome to Kongregate Live. My name is John. I work here at Kongregate, and I'm here today with Tony Lavelle, who is the author of a ridiculous amount of really great Flash games and some games that came to mobile as well. Indestructotank, Shift, Cuties, Reindeer, Pet Reindeer, my personal favorite. Welcome, Tony.
Hi, my wife made that one. It's not me.
Sure, but we'll count it. We'll count it as part of the Lavelle library of games for certain.
Okay, it's pretty big.
Sure. So let's just start off with some questions that I like to ask all developers, and that's just where did you start? When did you start making games? How did you start making games? How did you get into the scene? Like, what is the Tony Lavelle origin story?
I started making Flash cartoons in high school, and then one of my friends made a game, and I had to one-up him on that, so I made some games, and then entered them into competitions, mainly the Armor Games competition, which were a long time ago, and they did pretty well on there, and then I just kept doing that for a while, and then got a job with Armor Games.
So were you self-taught? Did you have books? Like, what did you do to really get into game design?
Oh, I was pretty much completely self-taught, and it's kind of like crippled me to this day of being a terrible overall programmer in anything except Flash. So with Flash I can do stuff, but then when it comes to any other type of like programming language, I'm actually really terrible at programming.
Okay. Yeah. How old were you when you started?
16. I think 16 was when I first started doing Flash stuff, when I think Flash MX had just come out, so...
Yeah, I think I was about 16, 15, 16 when I started too. It seems like that's like the entry age that people start making games, and I'm starting to see a lot of younger people now too getting into the scene. I was just curious because there's game developers now starting at like age 10 who are making games and publishing them, so it's just kind of crazy.
My daughter is currently across the room working on a game in Unreal Engine, so she's 8.
Gosh.
Yeah. So it's a crazy world.
Yeah, sure. So you started working in Flash. You started submitting to Newgrounds, and then there's the. It sounded like you were doing the Armor Games contest, right?
Yeah. I submitted like 2 or 3 games to Newgrounds, and then I made a game which went down pretty well and got on the front page of Newgrounds, which was like the best thing ever back then. So it got featured on Newgrounds, and that was Fresh Prince versus the KKK, which was starred Will Smith and was a rip-off of Streets of Rage, only terrible. And then I started putting my own games into the Armor Games competition. Came second with Indestructotank, which it got beaten by Con Artist's Last Stand, his first Last Stand game, and it was actually really close at the end. I made Indestructotank, the first one, in like 5 or 6 days, and he'd spent months on his game, and they were neck and neck until the end. So I'm kind of glad that he won, but and I came second and then got offered a job with that. So that's my origin story.
That's nice that 5 or 6 days of work ended up getting you the entry into that job. And it's also pretty awesome to get beaten out by con artists in that contest. That was a crazy contest if both of you guys were in that together.
Yeah, I think there was quite a few people who were in those contests ended up being like quite well known now. I think there's con artists, there's like Corinne, there's you, and a few others. But yeah, it's not that exciting. That's just what I did when I should have been doing schoolwork.
So, was Indestructotank the game that really got you on the map, or was there another big game that you had before that?
No, I think the most my games had ever been played were like had something like 10,000 plays, and that was like mind-blowing amount of people had played my games. And then I made Indestructotank, and in the course of like a week, it had been played like nearly 1 million times. and that was kind of like, whoa, that's crazy. So that was my first big game.
Cool. Let's talk more about Indestructotank because I feel like that's kind of one of the big games that defines your career and really got you started. So Indestructotank, it's just to explain to the people listening right now what Indestructotank is in case they've never played it.
Oh, well, I played. Have you ever played a game called Heavy Weapon on? It was a PopCap game or an Xbox Live game or something, and I thought, oh, I could make this in Flash, and then I made it in Flash, but it was terrible. And then one of my friends was like, hey, why don't you just make them bounce off the helicopters instead of shooting them? So it became a game where you had a tank and you had to bounce them off helicopters who were dropping bombs on you, and everybody liked that. So that was a week's worth of work that made quite a lot of money and got me a job, so hooray.
Yeah, and if you've never played the game, you can't actually fire any weapons. You're just this tank that can't the only thing the tank can do is bounce off of enemies and run out of fuel. I mean, the fuel is the energy system that ends up making you end the game. So as long as you're collecting fuel or hitting enemies, you're fine.
Yeah, I think most of the versions of the game are on Kongregate, so you could go play them instead of watching this. But no, don't really.
No, you should stay here for the moment. Maybe open in a second window, and you can play along as we talk about Tony's games. So you can follow the idea. Most of your games on Kongregate are on the Armor Games account, or you can.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Or you can go to Armor Games and Center the Tony account, either one. But so you started doing Indestructotank, and then you actually were working with me at Armor Games. You actually started around the same time when I arrived at Armor Games.
Yeah, I think you were kind of like my liaison at Armor Games. I think I spoke to you more than anyone else, and just like passed on what I was doing, and then you came and like criticized it and said, make this better or I'll beat you, and then I made it a bit better, and then we released them, and that was generally how we did it.
I don't think I ever threatened to beat you.
No, you never threatened me in any. In fact, you're kind of too nice most of the time, so you let me get away with stuff that I shouldn't. And then, yeah, it was fun working with you like that.
Yeah, and then you had a lot of game ideas and you just were working on smaller game concepts like I was. One of the game concepts that you had early in your Armor Games tenure was Shift. And do you want to describe to people what Shift is?
Yeah, well, Shift was a game that is basically in black and white, and you reverse the position of your player so that either the black space is solid or the white space is solid. And that was another game that I made very, very quickly, and it sort of blew up as well. And we made lots and lots of sequels to it. Maybe too many sequels. But no, that was... It seems my most successful games are ones that I've made in a few weeks, and then everybody loves them, and then we kind of iterate on those, and that tends to be my success story with games, getting lucky and then milking it for what it's worth, kind of thing.
Sure. So why do you think the small games are more successful to you versus the longer-term games? Do you think it's just that you're executing easier ideas or simpler ideas, so it's less there's less moving parts? Is that why you think it does better, or do you think you're just?
Oh yeah, I think the longer I spend on something, the more I start like thinking about little things that aren't quite as important as sort of the fun mechanic of it. If I can get a game which is just like one central mechanic, and then just make that a really good mechanic rather than sort of like get caught up in too many details of it, they tend to be the best games. So I think I'm not that good at doing very long-term projects with a lot of details. I'm better at just quick, few-week, rapid prototype kind of things. So.
Yeah, sure. In a lot of ways, we have kind of the same game design mentalities. Like I'm definitely more in like the camp of make very tiny things and make them really good. Like make them like these little tiny boxes of awesome versus building these longer-term projects. So I mean, the shift games did really ridiculously good, and you had shift. I think you had 4 shift games, and then you had a PC release, and then the game ended up going to 3DS as well.
Yeah. I think I don't know how the 3DS one does because I don't know. I didn't know the 3DS one existed until it was pretty much done, and I was told about it. Which I mean that's fine because I mean that's ARM Games' property, but I had no input on the 3DS version, so I can't really take credit for that.
Sure.
But it was I don't know. I think the mobile versions did really well once they were featured by Apple. I think we were in that period when a game couldn't really do well unless it was featured by Apple, so it did a few sales, and then Apple put it up on their front page, and it made a whole lot of sales. So I think that was my highlight of Shift stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty innovative for the time because you were doing pretty much virtual D-pad for iOS devices, and at the time that wasn't really a thing. That was a lot of games were working on tap or swipe because that was, I mean, the devices were new, so everyone wanted to do a touch game or a shape the phone game or some sort of like mechanic that hasn't been used a lot. So I think when you came on with a virtual D-pad, that was way different for most people.
I don't know. It wasn't using a virtual D-pad. I think it was like it had a weird control style where it was like one side of the screen made you move left and one side made you move right, and then if you tap both sides, he kind of jumps. And I think Dan McNeely came up with that.
Yeah, you were on like both sides of the screen were like D-pads, and your left trigger turned into a jump key when you're moving.
Yeah. It's sort of
So it was like just
a giant D-pad across the whole screen, but I don't know. Not sure it was the best way of doing it, but it worked pretty well, I guess.
I think for the time it was way ahead of what everyone else was doing, so I think it was pretty awesome for the time. I know that the like Mikey Shorts and these other games had D-pads that were finally coming to some sort of good control scheme in the next coming years.
Oh, you just reminded me of Mikey Shorts, and that is a brilliant game. I'm gonna go play that afterwards. But I played far too much of that. Anyway.
Yeah. So let's since I've been asking all the questions, but we have a lot of questions coming in from the chat room on Kongregate. So these are going to be totally non sequitur to what we're already talking about. But Andy B112 asks what your favorite kind of cake is.
Oh, I had a cake like 15 minutes ago, and it was amazing. It was like a do you have Toblerones in America?
Yeah, they come in a pyramid-shaped box.
Yeah. It's a Toblerone cake, and it was delicious.
What?
So,
we don't have Toblerone cake though.
Yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's my most recently enjoyed cake. I guess my favorite would just be my most recent one because I'm greedy and like cake.
Yeah, we've suddenly become a buzz market for Toblerone products on this talk.
Are you sure that's an 8?
No, that's an 8. What does it look like? No, my handwriting is really terrible.
No, I just would have gone for 6.
Oh no, you're right. It's a 6. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Make sure we get this right the first time. All right. 6. There we go. Yeah, I'm sorry. My handwriting's terrible. And then a user named BlueG is asking what your favorite ice cream flavor is. I guess that kind of falls in line. We're going to have a food moment.
Food stuff. What are you implying, guys? I do like food an awful lot. Favorite ice cream flavor is probably rum and raisin, but I never get it because nobody else likes it.
I have never heard of rum and raisin. That's...
What?
So if you haven't picked up on Tony's beautiful accent, he's calling in from the UK right now.
No, rum and raisin's internationally delicious.
I don't think rum and raisin's a real thing.
I'm just making up words and saying ice cream next to them.
Yeah. All right, so I'm getting a lot of Suffy Cuties questions, actually. So let's talk about Suffy Cuties really quick, and then we'll address the questions that are starting to come in for that.
Okay.
So tell me about Suffy Cuties.
Cuties started with it was like well, it was my first game when I was trying to use Box 2D, which is like a 2D physics engine. So I made an editor in Box 2D and had it like exploding little circles when like large objects fell on them. So I thought, oh, let's have these be little guys who can be squished by giant level blocks and stuff like that. And then it started out with it was originally like a religious cult, and there's a few videos on YouTube of like early releases of it where they're like they look kind of like KKK members. It just keeps coming up. It's a recurring theme in my games, apparently. And you're being led by this cult leader, and that didn't fly very well with Armor Games at the time. So they were like, we'd rather you do something more family friendly. So they turned.
So you kill cute animals.
So they hired Michael Swain, who's a really good artist, and we thought it would be quite funny to have little cute animals just exploding in blood, and you've got to lead them to some kind of like promised land. And I don't know, spoiler warning, but when they get to this promised land, it's not so good because it's called something like Wonderful Meadows, and it turns out to be a shopping center. So the animals are forever unhappy, and most of them have died on the way.
It sounds like the worst version of the Land Before Time movie ever.
Yeah, pretty much. It's fun though. It was quite hard to make, but I don't know. I'd do a sequel to that one, but.
So one of the questions from Flying Cat is, why did you make the game so sad? Why was it such a?
Oh man, I love making sad games. If I make a game which is kind of like happy and cute and stuff, and I really want I want it to have an ending where whatever cute animals there are, or whoever's happy in the game just ends up getting screwed over. And I don't know. I much prefer sad endings to happy endings. And usually by the time I do the ending, I'm pretty tired of the project, so it's quite like cathartic to have everybody be disappointed in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, one of our users, Bunny, asks, would you ever create a really cute game with rabbits that don't die, and then you lead them to wherever the plot is, and it's a good ending?
I think if they were nice, no, you can't have cute animals and just have. They've already got so much going for them that you can't just can't give them a perfect life. You need to teach them that life is unfair, and being cute animals in a Flash game is not a healthy occupation. So I don't think there's ever been a cute animal in a Flash game which has ended up not dead. But
yeah, when I created Hedgehog Launch, you were launching a hedgehog into space, and I didn't really give any indication whether that hedgehog was still alive when it got to space or not. But it looked happy. It was wiggling its toes.
It's completely unambiguous. If it like re-enters the atmosphere and just like burns up as like a shooting star. So it's just a hedgehog being roasted as it comes back in.
So the reason I brought up Hedgehog Launch was a lead-in to discussing why you told me I believe last week when we were talking about this that hedgehogs are considered garden pests where you live. Can you explain to me why that's the wrong term for them and why they're just supposed to be cute animals?
They're not pests. You're like happy to see them. Everybody loves to see hedgehogs, but they're pretty much everywhere depending on what time of year it is. We sometimes go on hedgehog hunts, but not with guns or anything. that would be much worse. We go on hedgehog hunts, just like trying to find them and like chase them. Well, not chase them, but like say hello to them. But yeah, we all love hedgehogs here, and the awful noises they make as they mate. But anyway. Yeah, Yeah, Hedgehogs. I can't believe you guys don't have them. That's sad.
No, actually, the Kongregate HQ is in California, where it's even illegal to own a hedgehog.
What? Do they just hate cuteness?
Yeah, we have like border crossings where they'll take your hedgehog from you if you have a hedgehog.
Well, I suppose if you like frighten them so they turn into like a ball, you could use them as like a weapon, like a spiked snowball. I don't know. Yeah,
All right, let's switch gears back to game development for a moment. So I'm getting a lot of questions about Colm or KOLM. So if you've ever played Metroid or any of the games in the Metroidvania vein, Colm is a really great distillation of all those ideas into a really moody, little bit dark sort of game where you're a robot picking up. Are you a robot?
Yeah,
You're a robot, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're a robot picking up all these parts and putting yourself literally back together so that you can experience the plot and go through the levels, and it's a big exploration game too. So, where did Colm come from? What were you thinking when you created it? Let's give us the 101 on.
I think Colm came about because I'd really wanted to make it for a long time because I really love the Metroid games. The Metroid games are my favorite sort of like series of games, and I'd really wanted to do one just for Armor Games for quite a long time, and I got a project finished before it, like 2 weeks ahead of schedule, so I had a bit of extra time for a slightly like larger game, and I asked Dan if I could do Colm, and he said, yeah, go on then. So I finally got to make it, and then it ended up really good. It's like it's the only one of my games which I go back and replay every so often. And then I made a sequel to it, which it was a pretty good sequel, but the middle of it got a bit boring, so I kind of wanted to remake that one at some point, and then I thought I might as well remake all of them into a bigger thing. And I tried that, and that didn't end up so well. Or I tried to get there, but oh well. Yeah, so I really like Colm, and I would like to work on it again at some point soon, I think.
Yeah, one of our users, Blee4, asks, will Colm ever get a chance to finish the trilogy? I guess they're looking for the end for that game.
Yeah, I think so. I'm probably going to need some time to get it finished, and some time to like exclusively work on it. I think with a few months I could do it, but it's currently not on the cards until probably late this year is when I'm going to first get my chance to go back to it, if I then have the funding, but that's also a big if. So I tried to kickstart it, but that failed, so that was a sad month.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I love bringing it up.
Okay.
No, it's good.
Yeah, one thing I thought the Colm series did really well is it really distilled the things that make Metroid games fun. A lot of the Metroid-esque games are pretty heavy right now. I feel like it's a mechanic that you can just keep adding to, so it can kind of snowball out of control. But what was really refreshing about Colm when it came out was it was just platforming. It was just doing the basics, and all the parts that you got, you really had a chance to use the parts you got, and you would look forward to seeing how you used other parts to get through different obstacles and things. So Colm is definitely one of my favorite games in your series.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just like as simple as you can make a Metroid game kind of thing. Go here, get this. Go here, get that, and now you can get this kind of thing. And then because it was just as pretty simple as it could get, we then did like a spin-off of the game where it's like you had to do it all in less than a minute, and that was also, I thought that went really well as well, but I think it was not as well received as the main game. But that was Colm in a minute, so that was fun to make. So.
Yeah, or Colmium if you want to go by here. Yeah.
Colm, I am. I don't know. I sometimes have problem coming up with names which are easy to pronounce, and people always ask me how to pronounce certain things. Like most of the games I made were under the name the EXP, and people are like, oh, is that the EXP or the X? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't ever say it out loud at home, so you can say it however you want. And then column is the same. People are saying, is it an abbreviation? But
yeah, I found over time that I've moved more and more away from my random jumble of letters from early internet eras, and I'm moving more towards like my real name. And I think
but I really like JM. But I'm gonna try and say it wrong on purpose because everybody keeps crediting you wrong with things. So it's JMBT02.
Yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with that since 2002, I guess. So that's real late at that time.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people made up their sort of like Flash names in like 2004 when it was cool to have internet pseudonyms. So everybody's got really odd things like the Super Flash Brothers and Jimurtaba 02 and the EXP.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is just a side effect from the early internet. Like Newgrounds was where I was uploading my games and still upload my games, and that was definitely under my JMTV02 name. And I think that's really kind of what stuck is when I started putting it on Newgrounds. I'm like, well, if I'm gonna put it elsewhere, I better put the same name so people don't get confused. And I know it caused confusion when I created the account John on Armor Games, and people are like, "Who's John?" Oh, that's that guy. And so it's like the switch over from real name has been hard.
Yeah, I think if we'd all done that a bit sooner, it would have just been easier in the long run. But oh well. Anyway, I don't even remember what the question was.
Yeah, I know. We're just on massive tangents right now, which is pretty much how all of our conversations go in real life too. Like our conversation right now is how we talk in real life.
No, I can't see any of the people watching this or like the chat box or anything. So I'm just pretending it's you, and you're just asking me things that you already know. And you're kind of just sort of like very forgetful. So.
So it looks like the most asked question we're getting right now is, what is the secret code for? So I guess we'll explain that later, what that code's going to be for, so you can just stick around.
You're back. I think you were gone for a second.
Oh, did I skip out?
Yeah, I think you were about to explain what the code was, and then you froze, so I thought maybe you'd done it on purpose or something.
Oh, no. Okay. Cool. Anyway, let's keep going. So I think since we're talking about Kongregate, let's talk about the game that really took off on Kongregate probably more than any of your other games. It's still on the...
Virtual Pet Reindeer.
Yeah, Virtual Pet Reindeer, exactly. But let's talk about the other popular game. Let's talk about Upgrade Complete. This game has been on the front page of Kongregate forever. It's one of the most popular Flash games of all time. It's got really pretty graphics that get upgraded over time as you keep rolling through the upgrades. If you've never played it before, it's just a giant upgrade skill tree that you're trying to upgrade a ship so that you can shoot enemies to get more money, to go back into the upgrade screen to buy more upgrades, to upgrade your ship and earn more money. And it's just this giant positive feedback loop that's just...
There's no real gameplay to it, but it's still quite fun, I think.
Yeah, so talk about your development on that and what that was like.
The first one, again, was another game I made in like 2 or 3 weeks. So that was another like really fast done game. And that started out with me just wanting to make like a top-down shooter where you could build your own ship. And then it had some really terrible graphics to begin with, and then we were going to replace them afterwards with good graphics, but then we had like a system where you could just switch between them. So it turned into upgrading the graphics on the ship, and then upgrading the graphics on the enemies, and then upgrading the graphics on the menus, and then adding like sounds and preloaders. So that's where that came from. That was, I don't know. That also came again from like rapid prototyping rather than any like good direction or talent. It was yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, our users really love that game. Like, I still play it every once in a while just because, like, there's some really unexplainable great rush from clicking a button and getting an upgrade and spending your money and then going back into that loop. Like, it's almost like what the idle games are currently doing right now, where you're getting this really big positive feedback loop, and you just want to keep going.
I don't want to say that I'm a trailblazer or anything, but, you know. I still get emails about Upgrade Complete 2. I think that's the most emails I ever get are from people who've played Upgrade Complete 2, and there's a certain upgrade in there where it like shouts at you when you upgrade, and I still get emails from people who are like pretty angry about that.
Yeah, you also, not to spoil. Okay, I'm totally gonna spoil. You put it in the third one as well, and people were bracing for it, knowing from the second one that you were gonna put like a screaming jump scare in your game, but you still did it.
Yeah, but then you can upgrade that now as well. So it starts off as being not very scary, and then not very scary again, and it's just a picture of me pretending to be a ghost and like, "Woo, I'm a scary ghost," and then when you actually upgrade it to its like final place, nothing actually happens. Apart from in the background of the game, it starts like an internal timer kind of thing, and then after like, I think it's like 45 seconds, then it happens. So it I actually haven't had many emails about that this time because I think you're kind of like warned about it beforehand, and people are expecting it, so there's less angry people about it. Whereas I get some genuinely angry, you're gonna kill somebody emails about Upgrade Complete 2. But yeah, I regret nothing. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, I remember the first time you showed me that. You were like, "Hey, John, look at this thing. Look at this thing I made." And like the whole time you were in production on this game, there was these moments where you were like, "Hey, John, look at this thing." And if you've ever played I forgot if it was the ending of Upgrade Complete or Upgrade Complete 2, you showed a picture of a sheep.
Oh yes.
And you just had this gigantic monologue about this sheep, this picture of the sheep that you unlocked, and by this time you were spending at least an hour playing the game to unlock the sheep, and you have this running, I think it's like almost 2-minute monologue about that the sheep is now yours.
It's much longer. I think over half the file size of the game is that monologue. Like just the MP3 file of that, like outweighs the rest of the game put together. Yeah, that's just me talking about a sheep with my daughter for about like 5 minutes or something. I don't know. It's on YouTube, so you can go look. Somebody's separated it out, so you don't even need to play the game anymore to hear about the sheep.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm gonna go look that up. So Upgrade Complete 1 came out. Upgrade Complete 2 came out, and you just released Upgrade Complete 3. And hopefully it comes to Kongregate. But in the meantime, we have questions about Upgrade Complete. The first one from I just had a question and I completely lost it.
That's a long username.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. If you could upgrade anything in real life, what would it be?
No comment. I don't know. Probably. Actually, I'd probably upgrade my ability to drive a car because I've failed my driving test a few times and still can't drive. So I think I'm missing out being my current age and not being able to drive a car.
Oh, it's user Holly2334 that asked that question, sir. I mean, Notch from Minecraft didn't drive a car forever. Like, I think he just got his license a little while ago.
Oh, cool. I will aspire to be like him then. I'll just have to come up with a...
It's just not your time. You need to come up with the giantest block
Well,
creation simulator in the world.
I'll take my test again once I become a billionaire, and that'll happen any moment. So, if I'd yeah, I kind of feel like I'm at the point where I'm missing out now. So, I'd like to be able to drive. Oh,
I think if you hold out long enough, we're getting to the self-driving car era. So by the time you actually get your
I'm kind of
license,
worried about that though, because by the time I'm about to get my license, everybody's going to switch to self-driving cars, and everybody like, oh, I remember how fun it was to drive a car, and like, oh no, I don't. But
you're going to be the awkward guy who can't contribute to the car driving conversation.
I
You never had the freedom and space to drive a motor vehicle.
Yeah, no, yeah, soon. That's what I'd upgrade. That's a serious answer. Anyway.
Cool. So let's just take a bunch of other random questions because they're starting to pile up.
Okay. Sorry, I'll ramble less about them.
No, I mean this is our space to ramble. So J304477 asks which language in which language do you program your games?
ActionScript 3, which is pretty much the only programming language I'm good at. But I'm mostly using for my games now. I really want them to work on mobile as well, so I use Starling for 2D stuff and Away 3D for 3D things. But they're all using ActionScript. So if you wanna future-proof your career, you should definitely learn ActionScript.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
212 Aaron 212 asks, do you have a mentor for creating games? Do you have a game designer you look up to or want to be like?
I don't know. I think mentor stuff is probably you, but like while working at Arma, I think you made a lot of my games better. But designers who I look up to, I don't know.
All right.
I'm probably gonna Shigeru Miyamoto because that's a real cliche answer. I'd quite like to meet him soon-ish.
Cool. Sonic, come on. Sonic Okami asks, were video games a key part of your life growing up, or did you get into them just because you started making them?
Oh no, yeah, I played games forever. Like, I think I was like 3 or 4, and we got a BBC Micro, which was it's like a home PC, which only really was in the UK. So I started out playing games on that, and then got a Nintendo, and then a Super Nintendo, and then a Mega Drive or Genesis, and then Nintendo 64. Yeah, pretty much all the consoles. I was pretty lucky in that regard. So I got 2 games a year. I got 1 game at Christmas, 1 game on my birthday. So that's pretty much all I got for birthday and Christmas presents were games. So yeah, I played a lot of games.
So were you more of a Super Nintendo kid or a Genesis kid growing up, since we were growing up in that generation?
Yeah, I had both. So like when people were arguing about which was better, I think because we got a Genesis secondhand like 1 year, and then so we got the games for that. I think the main games I played for that were Streets of Rage 2 and Sonic 2. But then I had a lot more games I preferred on the Super Nintendo, so that stayed plugged in more often, I guess. So Super Nintendo is probably better overall.
Great. And did you have The Lion King on Super Nintendo or on Genesis?
Oh, I had it on Genesis. I never played the Super Nintendo version, but I really liked the... Oh, no, wait, hold on. No, I didn't have it on Genesis. I had it on the Master System.
Okay.
And I remember that because I remember being really jealous of somebody who had it on the Genesis, because the Stampede level on the Genesis version was like kind of like 3D, but on the Master System version they just looked like buffaloes running sideways, and you had to jump on their backs. So yeah, that was on the Master System. I had that. Still a good game though, I think.
Is it though?
No, I think I think if I went back and played it now, it'd be horrible. But I really enjoyed it then.
So if you really enjoy it now, like a lot of things from our childhood, I just recommend that you leave it be. I had this revelation with the Never-Ending Story, watching it
Oh,
again for the first time as an
I've
adult, and I had
I've
trouble.
never seen the Never-Ending Story. I'd like to, but I just don't think I'd have time.
So let's take more questions. Spice Poet asks, concept to release, how long does it often take you to make a game?
Uh, a month to a month and a half, I think. While I was at Armor, it was usually about a month and a half for games. Upgrade Complete 3. I got Armor got in contact with me at the start of December, and they really wanted it for sort of like Christmas time, or so we got it for just after the New Year. So that was about overall, I think that was about a month and a half. It did go slightly over how long they wanted, but yeah, I like games which take about a month and a half to make. So.
Sure. Just a side question that I asked it. Someone asked it in a last talk, and I'm going to bring back here because I think it's an interesting question. Is if you had unlimited resources, time, whatever you needed to make whatever game you wanted, do you have a game idea that you'd want to do, or would you even know what to do?
With unlimited budget, I would pay Nintendo to let me work on an official Metroid game. So I'd pay my way in to do that, but if it had to be on my own game, I don't even know. I've never.
So I was going to ask next, what kind of games shaped your viewpoint as a developer, just the kind of things that you really like to make, the kind of mechanics that you attune with. Like, what games did you play growing up that made you want to be a game designer, made you want to make games?
I'm just going to say Super Metroid was probably my most played game ever. I think there's not that many games I could sort of like play from start to finish without ever needing to think where I need to go other than Super Metroid. But I could probably play Super Metroid start to finish without even thinking, just kind of like in sort of like on cruise control kind of thing. So Super Metroid's probably my biggest favorite game ever, so I've probably taken quite a bit from that. But that also doesn't really fit into most of the games I've made, so I don't know.
Sure. Jamie Wolfie Cook asks, do you prefer to work on new games, or do you like to continue series? Like, what's more interesting to you at this point now that you have all these games?
Oh, I really like making sequels. Like the second game in a series is always the best game to make because you know what to do. There's no like it's kind of gonna work, but you can just expand on it like a huge amount. So when you're making the first game, you're like prototyping it, and it's fun, but you don't know if people are actually going to like it, and you don't know if it's going to end up as a good game. So like you make something like Upgrade Complete 1, and then when I'm asked to do the second one for that, I already have a really good starting point, so I can just kind of like go mad. I think Upgrade Complete 2 has hundreds of upgrades, which sort of like it's completely overboard with how many things in, and I don't think I could have done that in the first game. But I think by the time you get to sort of like, I think by like Shift 4, I was kind of like scraping the barrel for ideas. It was good in the end, but also really hard because to make it sort of like different, I had to do something, and the difficulty was sort of like increased for it. But yeah, I think first sequel is best, and then I enjoy doing those the most, I think.
Cool. So let's take more questions. Or no, let's not take more questions. Well, I mean, keep asking your questions. We'll get to them. We won't get to all of them, but we'll certainly get to as many as we can. So let's bring up my favorite game that you have made, and it's not Colm, it's not Upgrade Complete, and it's definitely not Shift and all these. I'm not saying definitely because I don't like them, but I'm saying that definitely
No,
because
that's fine.
my favorite game was I Was Hungry, but There Were Cannons.
Oh yeah, I love that game. I sort of made like a 3D prototype of it from like my first thing messing around in 3D with was just like a prototype of that because I really wanted to remake it. But yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, so if you've never played I Was Hungry, but There Were Cannons, it's this game. It's a very simple concept. It's a very tiny game where you're in the. I think there's like 16 levels or so, but it's a platformer where you try to get through the level by eating as many cheeseburgers as possible, and then you have to go stand on a scale. And when you stand on the scale, it opens the door, and you can leave the room and escape. And the only major mechanics that are in the game is there's cannons that shoot. I don't know what they shot. They shot like bullet bills, sort of looking, or like bullets, pretty much. And then you're collecting cheeseburgers, and you're just this guy running through this level in a top hat, collecting cheeseburgers and ducking and hiding. And when you duck, you actually fall underneath your hat, and you just see your hat sitting on the screen. And this game was just like sometimes you just play games and you play this game and you say this is the game I want to keep playing forever. Like this is like one of those desert island games that I could be really happy with.
It's the best name for a game I've ever gotten through without being vetoed. I think I'm surprised I got that one through, but yeah, it also doesn't fit into most websites when we were submitting them. Like to Newgrounds, I think it's got a different name. I think on Newgrounds it's just called like ... but There Were Cannons because they couldn't have a name that long for the game. But yeah, that is a great game. I'm glad you like that one.
Yeah, and that game had asynchronous multiplayer as well. So there was weeks like the asynchronous multiplayer is who can beat the level faster. So basically, you run through the level and you send your run to your friend, and your friend can play the level, and you'll see their ghost. So it's this game where you're just constantly like sending copies of these ghosts back and forth to each other, and it's like making the most minuscule changes to your run so that you can come out 0.01 faster than the previous person. And,
I do have a confession about that though, which I haven't actually told you before. Do you remember that time we were like back and forthing that level, and you were constantly beating me by like 0.1 second, and then I was beating you by like 0.1 second? There's actually a debug panel in the game where you can slow down your opponent's ghost by just enough to beat them each time. So I was doing that with you for about an hour and just frustrating you about that. But then you kept beating me. So.
This is all the time we have for today for
okay.
Tony. Thank you, Tony, for no, I'm just kidding. But
all right, I thought you were serious. I was like,
that to me.
No, I only did it a few times, but it was endearing how you kept beating it again somehow. So, but anyway.
So you had the same system in microboats too, as well. So now.
That's because microboats uses the exact same engine as I Was Hungry, but There Were Cannons.
So I'm going to continue to ask how much of our working relationship was a lie, Tony.
Oh, huge portions of it. Honestly, no, it was fine.
Yeah, well, it was fine for you, sure. So let's go back to questions, just because we could spend the next 20 minutes talking about this game because it's so good. You should really check it out. I Was Hungry, but There Were Cannons. It's just the funnest. Funnest is not a word, but it is definitely the funnest ever. So a lot of people asking, because you brought up that you mostly do all your work in AS3. Have you dabbled in 3D Unity at all, or any of the other browser technologies?
Yeah. I've done a bit of brief Unity stuff, but I think I've been playing in Unreal Engine, but mostly in my spare time in the last like few days as it became free, and it's really made me want to make a game in that at some point. But as far as like browser stuff goes, no, I'm pretty much useless in anything apart from Flash. So And
Sure.
I think I'm kind of just good at faking that I'm good at Flash, and then tricking people into playing games and thinking they're all right.
I don't think you're tricking anyone if the games are turning out well and people are here watching right now, so clearly you're doing a good
Oh,
job.
I'm actually taking your word for that because I don't know if people. I think you're just like sat in a room on your lunch break talking to me. So.
Well, let's get one thing straight. I do usually eat lunch at 11:30, but I'm still here, so clearly this is more important than lunch at the moment. So.
Thank you. No, I'm no good at anything but Flash. So I'd like to be better at other things, but.
And yeah, and you really pushed the technology in Flash. I mean, you've done a bunch of almost like Mode 7 graphics in Flash way before. You were like hipster Mode 7 Flash developer for a while before that got cool. So definitely, it seems like it's been your bread and butter.
Yeah, I think Flash is like performance-wise, you can get it looking nearly as good as Unity stuff at like sort of the same performance. If you're really careful with things. Like I did the 3D prototype of Column. That's just Flash, but it's all on the graphics card. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're moving to Unity." I was like, "No, it's still just Flash." But Flash is pretty good. I don't think it's dead yet.
Yeah, I mean, we're still seeing air export, and I mean, Flash is running fine. I mean, for super high-end 3D modeling, I'm pretty certain that Unity might be the way to go for a lot of those projects. But even I mean, you're doing great stuff in 3D Flash too. So I mean, it's just everyone's preference, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I think if I was doing like a full big 3D game, I'd do it in probably Unity or Unreal. But I think Flash has many years to go for 2D stuff, especially on mobile.
Yeah, sure. And if anyone's watching and thinking, hey, I want to get into game development, now's I mean, it's always a great time to get into game dev, but it's especially a good time right now. A lot of the engines have gone free as of this week from GDC announcements. Unity, Unreal Engine, and a few others are going to be free for development use. So you should definitely.
It benefits me, so everybody should definitely learn Unreal and Unity.
Sure. So if someone's just getting into game development now, what sort of advice would you have for them? What are some of the things you would do that maybe you did wrong or that you did right that you would share and want to tell people to do?
If I was getting into game development now, it is much better than when I was getting into game development then. Definitely learn Unity. I think everybody wants Unity developers, so even if you don't want to make your own game, you can. If you know Unity, you can get hired pretty much all over the place in every country. And if you want to make your own game, I'd still say learn Unity because I look at people developing stuff in Unity and think, oh wow, they just did something in 10 minutes that would take me a month to do in Flash. So that makes me very jealous. So I should learn it at some point. I know we've got our old coworker Joey loves Unity and is now like a Unity master expert. So I kind of feel like in my spare time I should be learning that. So, and that's what you should do as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of devs making the jump to Unity or sitting in both camps, working on both. Yeah, Unity has definitely been a great tool so far. Unity is a tool for creating games across platforms, so you can create games for iOS and Android, and for web as well for Kongregate.com. And it's really great because it's streamlined for game development, whereas Flash is a great multimedia tool, but it wasn't originally made for games, but it's still really great. And I know a lot of actually, I think all the artists I know, or at least a majority of them, are using Flash for animation and artwork still, if they're making 2D games, just because it's been such a robust animation tool, and as well for UI. All the great AAA games that you see, a lot of them use Flash for UI, which is crazy. So Flash still has a place, but yeah, definitely for indie development, I'm seeing way more people starting to head towards Unity just for that power.
I think if you're completely starting out from scratch, you can learn a lot more in a short time with Unity than you would in Flash. I think to be good in Flash, you need to have been doing it for years, whereas a few months in Unity, you'll be able to make something impressive looking. So,
Right. Cool. Let's see if we have any more questions coming through. It has almost been an hour. Can you believe it?
Time flies when you're talking to John.
No, I don't think that's true. I'm just sifting through all the questions about people asking about the secret code. It would not be a secret code if it wasn't secret. Let's see here.
It's the first few digits of John's phone number.
No, please do not call that number. That person's going to hate you. Why would you even suggest that? Are there any game? Oh, sorry. Let's do this one. How do you think you would survive the zombie apocalypse?
Well, I currently live in like a village that's like 90% populated by like very old people. So I think I'd have like sort of like an advantage overall. And there's this giant tower on a hill right by my house. It's like a folly tower. It was made in like the 1900s by a crazy rich guy. So he's built this giant tower. So I'd probably be able to beat all the old people up to that and sort of like barricade myself in and just like climb the tower and like throw rocks down at the zombies. That's pretty much my plan.
This sounds like a Flash game. I'm on this tower throwing rocks at zombies.
I am actually planning on making like a game based there soon because it looks like super creepy at night. So I'll send you a picture of it at some point.
Cool. So Z-Diggs asks for you, is there going to be another Indestructotank game?
Probably. They're not hard to make. Somebody made one on a calculator once, so I guess. I think Indestructotank is like the only sort of like IP that I actually own, because once I started working for Arma Games, I basically signed away my rights to the stuff I was doing in exchange for like a salary payment. So everything I made while I was at Arma Games, I can't really like make sequels to. But Indestructotank was like before that, so if I ever really want to make an Indestructotank game, I guess I probably will. But,
and the reindeer game as well, which is
of course.
To hold on to.
Virtual Pet Reindeer. You can play it right now at newgrounds.com. I think that's the only place that has it. I don't think other people would want it.
So feel free to upload it to Kongregate.com. Everyone will make sure to give it the rating it really truly deserves.
It could be the only game on my personal account and see how it does.
Sure.
Hey guys.
So let's just kind of talk about your the personality. Like this really clever, witty sort of personality you add to the games. For example, Upgrade Complete with the talking sheep. I believe it's Colm is just like you go through this entire game and it's like it gets kind of dark and moody. Like you seem to add a lot of like emotion and personality for games that seem pretty simple. And I just wanted to get kind of like where you're at when you're making these games, what mindset you're in. Is it reflective of how you're currently feeling, or is it more like, I really want to kill animals today, so I should make this cute, funny game?
That's how I feel every day. So, I don't know. I get emails from people saying like, "Oh, you've got to finish like Colm's story because it's so deep and stuff." But it was kind of something that was added, not last minute, but sort of like it wasn't my main focus for development. I'm really not like a deep guy when it comes to like stories and stuff. So I think if it gets in there, it gets in there, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And that sounds really disappointing, but it's true. I don't know. I don't know. I think I like funny endings to stuff. I think if somebody's been playing on a game for like several hours, and you just sort of like give them an ending which is completely silly, it sort of like highlights what they're doing with their lives. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you seem to have a really strong meta commentary in your games that that a lot of developers, like you were kind of doing it before a lot of developers started having meta commentary. So like definitely Upgrade Complete is the biggest one. Like it was really clear that like you wanted people to be self-aware of what they were doing.
No, that's always fun, making people think things. I don't know. Yeah, I think I wouldn't say stuff like social commentary is in the games, but just I think Upgrade Complete 3 is kind of harsh on freemium games, but that was fun to do.
Sure. So we're running out of time, so let's get our last questions in for Tony.
Okay. I'll be quick.
Oh no, you don't have to be quick. The people watching this need to be quick. If you go to Kongregate.com /game/Kongregate/live, there will be a chat panel there where you can put in your last-minute questions. And we're on a 30-second delay loop, so sometimes we're not getting the questions for about 30 seconds. So feel free to drop your last questions. We'll kind of make this rapid fire at this point. Okay. Q-Cheers says, Tony, is there any good advice you have for inspiring indie devs?
No, not really. I got very lucky. So the only thing I can really say is try hard. Do your best and be the person you want to be.
We're so proud of you. Keep going. Yeah, like that's definitely it. Is just like having a drive for what you're doing.
Yeah. Oh wait, I suppose I could say like I didn't really try very hard at all until sort of like I think I was I suppose like my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, getting pregnant was kind of like a big kick up the ass to get working. So I guess my advice to you is get teen pregnant and
let's not go there.
It'll convince you to work harder.
Cool.
I've got no good advice.
All right. Oh my God. Okay. J304477S. What do you think of idle games?
I think they're pretty good. I don't think I would have like started playing them on my own, but then my wife started playing them, and then she got addicted to. Well, she has like 5 or so tabs open at the same time playing idle games. So it's got to be something good in them.
Yeah. So are you seeing like a spike in your electric bills from the amount of idle games you're running on that giant monitor?
Yeah. She just runs it all night. I mean, she never turns her PC off anymore because she likes to have them open. But oh well.
Cool. I need to send you some articles on Bitcoin. So let's see. Aaron212 asks, is there any games concept you had that you thought was great, but you didn't have the right resources or technology to build?
No, I think I had pretty much free reign while I was working on the games to make like web games, and I think I wanted to do a lot more 3D stuff, but none of my 3D games are doing like very good. So I sometimes suggested like making 3D games for stuff, and there was usually like a no answer to that. But other than that, I've been very lucky with being able to make what I want. And I've always had really good artists as well, because I'm terrible at drawing things. So it was good to have. It was good to have artists like Jimp and Adam Vian and a guy called Chris Ignatov, who is my artist for ages. So yeah, I've been good for stuff.
Cool. So we have a lot of questions because you're sitting behind a relatively large bookshelf. So everyone's asking what your favorite book is. Let's see. Holly2334 asked this, and someone else did as well. Sonic Kami asked this as well. So, are you the big reader, or is it someone else?
No, that's my wife's bookshelf. That's not mine. I can't steal the credit for that. I'm just sat here, so you can't see like the mess the rest of the room is in. My favorite book is a book. Well, it's a series of books called the Farseer Trilogy by Robin Hobb, and they are the best books. So you should definitely read those if you want to read good books. But those aren't mine. I'm just leeching off looking smart by having them behind me.
Cool. So we have another question here, and it says, what is your favorite fast food Chinese food chain, and why is it Panda Express?
Oh, is that one from you? Yeah. I really love Panda Express the few times I've been to America, but they don't have it here. And then one time, John made a fake newspaper article saying that they were bringing Panda Express to the UK, but it wasn't true, and I was genuinely excited for a little while that we were going to get Panda Express. And then it turned out to be a lie. So I guess a lot of our working relationship is a lie.
I remember that day because I thought it would be really funny to like change the front page of CNN so it said that Panda Express is coming to the city we're living in as a test market, and then I photoshopped everything and then sent it to you. And I remember you like being so excited you were going to go wake up your wife and go tell her how excited you were that Panda Express was opening. And then I realized at that point I was like, I was reaching the potential to like ruin your life pretty strongly, so I had to tell you, no, it's not true, it's not real, and you were so upset.
I think if I ever move to the US, it's gonna be because Panda Express is available all over the place.
This is, yeah. I mean, Tony. What Tony is saying is you should dream big. Relocate to the city that has Panda Express most accessible. You know that they make drive-through Panda Express. Like you don't even have to get out of your car. They hand it through a window.
That's crazy. I mean, it wouldn't help me because I can't drive. So I'd just be walking up to the window and be, please give me the thing. It's like, no, you've got to go through the front door. But anyway, yeah, Panda Express is delicious and the best.
All right, we'll take the last 3 questions I got here. No, I'm going to take the last 4 because a great one just came in. I mean, we have more food questions, of course. So what is your favorite pizza? Asks Holly2334.
My favorite pizza is just as many mushrooms as you can fit on the pizza. But again, I never get to eat that because nobody else in this house likes mushrooms. So I tend to eat pepperoni pizzas a lot. But I wish for being allowed to have mushrooms. Yeah, as many mushrooms as you can fit on a pizza makes for a delicious pizza.
Cool. So One Dark Ruler asks if we could all see the mess in your room.
No, not a chance. My wife would literally kill me if I turned my laptop around right now. But yeah, sorry about that. It's pretty messy. It's not too bad. No, I'm not going to show. Sorry.
Spice Code asks, do you like chicken tikka or veggie samosas?
Both. I didn't know it was something you had to choose between. Sorry. I've been eating both, and if that's against the law, I'm sorry.
I don't think I've ever had chicken tikka in a samosa before.
It's nice. Did you even change that?
What?
Sorry, no, I thought it was a 6 to begin with.
Well,
sorry,
you're not paying attention, is what.
Okay. Sorry, I know I'm meant to be paying attention for the event, but.
All right, let's do one last question. So Creative Angels asks, do you style your hair or do you wake up like that?
I actually had a shower just for this because before it was just like everywhere. No, it's not styled. It's not even brushed.
Well, you have a lot more hair than I was actually expecting. Cool. All right, so that's all the time we have. So Tony, thank you so much for joining us for this most silly edition of Kongregate Live. It turned out really amazing. So thanks for answering all these questions I have and learning that our entire working relationship was a lie. That was really great to learn. And if you want to contact Tony, if you have any more questions, do you have somewhere that people can contact you that's not a personal email or phone number? That's not his phone number.
That's just half my phone number. No, it's not at all. No, I only have a personal email address, I guess. But I don't mind people emailing me at it, so it's just anthony.lavelle@gmail.com.
Okay. And if you have any questions for Tony, or you want to send him your best jokes, he really loves jokes, so send him as many as you can. And yeah, so keep following Tony's work. He's still producing great Flash games, and that's all the time we have. So thanks for joining us, Tony.
Thank you very much, John.
And thanks to all of our users for coming in and watching this. We couldn't do this without you. So keep watching, keep asking questions, and we'll see you for the next one.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Hey, who should we have for the next one?
Has Joey done one?
No, we gotta get Joey on here.
I think Joey would be interesting.
All right, so we'll try to get Joey on the next show. He's working on some big Unity games right now. He's working on Wasteland 2 right now. So maybe we can ask him a bunch of questions about that.
Oh. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else interesting in the entire world.
Wow. Okay, we're gonna end it there. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.